Hello, and welcome back to another semifinals game of GP Essen. We have Augur versus Herzi. Herzi's on Tropic Thunder, and meanwhile Augur's on
Prowess, which is kind of what it sounds like. So you have these Prowess creatures and you have spells. So for the game, we have good news for Augur and bad news for Augur. The good news is that they're first seed, so they get to be on the play. The bad news is that they just mulliganed 5.
Well, they have a decent hand, so
yeah, as far as mulligans 5 go, this is a very good hand. You have your creature and you have ways to get back out of your mulligan 5.
Yeah.
And very fortunately for Augur, Herzi does not have a turn 1 Unceasing Flames, which means that this Crossing Fog will be able to connect.
Yeah, and they even draw a Scorch, and they have Consult to follow up with.
My one concern here with how Augur's board is developing is that they're taking a lot of damage from their lands with Crystal Cavern turn 1, and then although they do hit 2 lands off the Crossing Fog, those are the Shock Fetches, which maybe they'll play them tapped just to conserve their life total.
Augur's life doesn't matter as much in this matchup as Herzi's life, I feel like.
It doesn't matter as much, but we can also look at Herzi's hand and see that they have both Thunder Roads and Bounty of the Gardens in the hand, which are both definitely cards that can clock down the life total really fast.
Yeah. So I guess Augur picks up Enraptured Countess.
Yeah, deploying a second threat was a good idea. So now we get to turn 2, and Herzi will be able to actually do stuff, not having any turn 1 plays, unlike Augur, having copious amounts of 5 drops. And Cane Dancer is a really good draw here, since they will let Cane Dancer being a blocker helps preserve Herzi's life total.
Herzi just plays a land and passes. Augur untaps, draws another land. Huh.
So this is presumably just a consult?
Yeah, they have to consult here to see what to draw into. And Herzi can counter this if they really want to.
Yeah, I'd be very tempted to counter this as well if I was Herzi.
In fact, maybe Augur should have played a land first.
Yeah, probably. Maybe. At the same time, they are taking so much damage from the mana base that playing a Shock Faction untapped is going to hurt them even more.
Right. Herzi decides to let Consult resolve, saving their counter for something else, I guess.
I think that's probably fair. With both Thunder Roads and Bounty in hand, they can probably just trade 1 for 1, even with all this value that Augur's getting. Knowing that there's 2 lands off this journey as well means that Augur only has so many spells to match up versus Herzi's double diffuse Cane Dancer.
Yeah, and Augur decides to shock themselves anyways.
Yeah, not finding a basic or anything.
Well, they can fetch a basic off the Magmag Torrent, but yeah.
We'll have to take a bit more damage. Presumably going to be crossing the fog here.
I mean, now Herzi can counter that, and that might be what Herzi counters instead.
Let's go for Scorch off the Crystal Cavern.
Wait, is Herzi going to counter that?
Well, I mean, now with only Mountain up, it seems like a good counter.
Oh yeah, right. Why did Augur not tap Mountain for a Scorch?
Yeah, it just seems like a bit of a error.
Maybe they're thinking about using Swarm and then crossing the fog. Oh yeah, they're using the treasure off the Swarm to crossing the fog.
Huh, yeah, I guess that works.
So they're just trying to pump out as much damage as early as possible before Herzi has time to stabilize and get their mana situation fixed.
Yeah, still probably a good practice to just tap the Mountain for the Scorch.
Wait, Augur's not going to cross... They're going to scry first?
Well,
they think scrying is worth 2 damage, I guess?
Huh?
And
wait, how does... I think they're just not playing the Crossing the Fog here? I'm not quite sure what's going on. I guess just keeping the... No, but like, Crossing the Fog probably finds spells.
So I guess they're planning on using the treasure to help Enraptured Countess flashback something?
I guess so. So, Herzi has a decision here because Enraptured Countess on Scorch is very scary. So, there's a potential of any upkeep Thunder Roads here.
Well, I guess that's not going to happen.
Yeah, in that case, Herzi is dead. Because Enraptured Countess on Scorch will put the game away. I guess Thunder Road will, just as a lightning helix, does save them here. There's a lot of damage and not a lot of ways for Herzi to gain life.
I'm assuming Augur is going to Crossing the Fog. They're going to Enraptured Countess.
And presumably this gets back Scorch with how low Herzi is.
Yeah.
And with 2 Prowess triggers, that makes the creatures themselves lethal. And it looks like the only way for Herzi to get out of this is... No, I think they're just dead. I don't think they can get out of this.
Yeah, I guess Augur just went way too fast for Herzi to handle.
Yeah, so if Herzi ends up Thunder Roadsing an upkeep there, I think they do end up being kind of safe, since they get to that coveted... not sure how I feel about hitting the academic there, since it gets completely blown out by an instant.
Well, I mean,
It does work out. though not in the way that it matters.
Herzi's playing to their outs, right? Because, well, I mean,
it's just kind of being greedy. I don't know if it's necessarily playing to outs. So I guess Augur's only instance are Fire Burst and Strong Arm, right? So
yeah.
and neither of those would matter there. That does feel like not killing the after counters on upkeep was maybe a little bit greedy from Herzi's end.
Yeah, maybe. Well, anyways, looking at the sideboard here.
So Herzi got a ton of stuff here. Cosmic Sinkhole, out of body experience. Probably Sheldrain's Rage too. Probably dropping some of the more expensive stuff, maybe Sea Caches even.
Yeah.
I'm not sure exactly how important those are. Secrets of the Core Light Court.
And then I guess for Augur,
I imagine it's just Imposition here.
Yeah, Imposition is sort of a pretty weird card though. So
yeah, I mean it is an answer to Thunder Roads, which very few decks have. So a counterspell doesn't do it, whereas Imposition does do it.
Yeah. Well, anyways, game 2 starting. So
Herzi decides to keep in the Secrets of the Core Light Court, presenting just as like a split up instant speed divination, get some card advantage.
And let's see, Augur mulligans and gets a hand with 2 Master Tranquilities and an Imposition.
Yeah, so just from these opening hands, it seems like Herzi has a pretty good advantage. With these Cosmic Sinkholes being very relevant, Secrets of the Core Light Court help keep some card advantage.
Yeah.
And like these Impositions don't really feel like they're at their best here, because all the cards in Herzi's hands are kind of replaceable.
Yeah, so Herzi's going to end up turning Secrets of Core Light Court, draw a card, untap, draw... Okay, 3 Cosmic Sinkholes. I think that's very good for Herzi.
Yeah, definitely going to be really hard to get down these Master Tranquilities, as it would be hard to get down any threat, but particularly Master Tranquility being 2 mana is not looking good for Augur.
Well, I mean, Augur's just going to slam Master Tranquilities here, right? Because, like, there's no point in not doing it. They could try to clear away with Imposition, but, like...
Yeah.
Do you really want to try to, like, waste turn 2 trying to Imposition your opponent to clear it away? Yeah,
kind of the awkward thing about Imposition is that it doesn't really stick, so to speak, where if you play Imposition on... without any pressure, unlike discard, you're not with card parity. Whereas like a duress, really, it doesn't matter when you play duress, just as long as you play it.
Yeah. In fact, Imposition doesn't even draw you a card, so like it's negative card advantage, right?
Yeah. So you're really trading for card quality, and that is, and it's really hard to leverage that without an offensive threat.
Augur gets hit by their first Cosmic Sinkhole.
Yeah, so it looks kind of rough for Augur, with Crossing the Fog not really doing anything, Fire Burst not being a very good burn spell here, and with Herzi at 20 life, not going to be finishing them off anytime soon. And then the Imposition's not really going to be doing much.
Well, Night Academic, that goes through... well, that can bait a Cosmic Sinkhole, but Augur doesn't have a second or a third land to really take advantage of that.
I'm not even sure if this needs to be countered, since it will get picked up by the Bounty of the Gardens.
Yeah, I mean...
Herzi decides to, keeping up the Shedundra Sensory for another sinkhole.
Well, I guess Herzi figured might as well.
Yeah, definitely not a bad play, but maybe could afford to be greedy with the bounty.
Augur just passes. They're not going to Crossing the Fog at sorcery speed.
Yeah, imagine this is just Enerton in position to try and get Massive Tranquility through.
I mean, that will work, I guess.
Yeah, as long as Herzi doesn't draw something good off the imposition, it will be out of Cosmic Sinkholes. So at the same time, actually, what would you do here if you're Herzi?
Just let the imposition resolve. Like, why?
What if Augur takes bounty?
Actually, good plan. Just play the bounty, like, because your opponent's going to take your Cosmic Sinkhole anyways.
I imagine you probably never actually Cosmic Sinkhole this, right? Unless if you really want to get like a 6/6 bounty or something.
Well, I mean,
I guess you save the ham information too, but
I don't think ham information really matters here because both players are just kind of trading 1 for 1 at this point.
Yeah, I suppose one of the awkward things about playing bounty here is that you don't actually have the mana sources to also reprise the secrets of the Core Light Court. So maybe you don't even want to, because that would give another card for Augur to choose between. I
mean, they're almost to reprising secrets onto Thunder Roads, so...
Yeah. This does also, regardless of whether Augur decides to take Cosmic Sinkhole or not, it does put Herzi off of Cosmic Sinkhole without a blue source.
Yeah.
So Augur could decide that, hey, I'm good just having this one turn of counter spells not being available to slam this Master Tranquility. Because, again, as you mentioned, Thunder Roads working with Secrets of the Core Light Court is a very nasty potential thing that Herzi could do. And taking this Cosmic Sinkhole off the imposition will give them another draw towards that.
Yeah. Augur decides to take the Cosmic Sinkhole, which is what we expected.
Yeah. Maybe a bit greedy, but maybe they also have to be a bit greedy.
Well, Augur doesn't get punished for that because Herzi draws a land instead.
Yeah.
So in Raptured Countess, no third land though. Augur can slam a Master Tranquilities now.
Imagine that's probably what they need to do.
Well, it's not that good into Bounty Token because the Bounty Token will trade with the Master of Tranquilities.
Well, with this Fireburst in hand, that's not Master Tranquility plus the Fireburst will clear the Bounty Token.
Oh yeah, I guess you don't have to always switch to Power and Toughness.
Yeah.
Well, breach the Lilies, you can breach Bounty of the Gardens.
A very good draw for Herzi, since not only will it let them use the secrets of the Coalight Quad if they want to, but it also gives them 5/5 off bounty and lets them attack this turn.
Well, Plant Token's going to attack and Augur takes. I feel like making that play basically telegraphs to Augur that Herzi has a flash blocker in hand, because there's no way Augur or Herzi would have attacked there if...
Yeah, maybe. But at the same time, Herzi is just kind of racing. Like, it could indicate all sorts of things, Bounty being one of them, Breach Lilies similarly. But also just Thunder Roads makes it seem pretty reasonable to attack there. Especially pointing Thunder Roads all face with Secrets of the Coalight Quad to draw 3.
Augur's going to crossing the fog first, probably hoping to grab a land off the journey.
Yeah, so we'll see what Herzi decides to do here, because you could just...
Still no lands. That's unfortunate.
Because this Master of Tranquility will be trading with the Bounty of the Gardens, the 5/5 off the Breach. But at the same time, you could just Breach the Lilies on the Bounty and then wing back for 9, very cleanly winning the race. So again, with Fireburst, Scorch, Strong Arm being hit off the journey, it's definitely a bit scary to enter into a race.
I mean, if Herzi just blocks here, Augur also doesn't get to take anything off the journey.
Yeah, definitely.
Well, they're gonna, Secrets of Coalight Court now to draw a card.
It makes sense.
They make the plant token. We draw another Secrets of Coalight Court, which they can cast with the remaining mana.
Yeah, pretty good draw. Makes good use of the mana.
I think Herzi just wants to block here because, like...
Yeah, definitely makes sense too. And definitely making it the plant token in combat kind of asks that.
In position now.
Yeah, so I take it that this is probably deciding to save the Master Tranquility, making it 2/6.
Oh yeah, I guess that does work.
I'm not sure if...
Herzi just lets it resolve.
I'm not sure what's happening with the Master Tranquility, because Augur will have needed to make the choice whether to switch.
Well, I mean, Herzi did it before Augur had a chance to make the choice, so Augur gets to...
Well, actually, I'm not sure what's happening here, because Augur asked for a response for their imposition.
Oof.
So maybe that's a response to the Master? I'm not
Maybe
sure.
they just want the Master... No, they're going to flip it now.
Yeah.
I mean, it's slightly out of order sequencing, but I think it probably passes.
And, well, with this third Bounty of the Gardens, it seems like Herzi is in the process of packing up the game here.
Yeah, but nobly, Herzi didn't cast their Secrets of Coalight Court after they got when they got impositioned, because casting it would have put it in the yard so that they could reprise it on anything else that they drew. But I guess here it paid off for Herzi because they...
Yeah, they got lucky to draw the Bounty. I guess, it feels better to just cast the secrets there. I'm not going to go into the analysis of it. Besides, you only attack with 1 plant token.
Well, I mean, holding back plant token means that Master Tranquilities can't get through.
Yeah, but they have another Bounty in hand.
Yeah, maybe they just want to...
I guess it probably doesn't end up mattering, since 3 Bounty tokens is not an easy thing for 2 lands to fight through. In fact, in this case, it's, I think, just blatantly impossible.
Yeah.
Maybe setting up a double block, maybe, to deal with, like, Strong Arm or something.
Augur's still not drawing into a land, so...
How many lands is Augur on? They're on 21, so yeah, definitely a bit of a rough sequence of draws here.
Herzi's going to Secrets to draw a card in response. 4th Bounty. Wow, that's...
Well, Herzi can't cast both this turn. Not that it will really matter.
Can they not cast both? They have... Oh, yeah, right.
Yeah, Mountain and Storm Canyon don't tap for Bounty.
Well, there is Bounty number 3.
I imagine this will get reprised with Secrets of the Coalight Quad. Or maybe not. That matters here.
Maybe they're just saving the reprise for Thunder Roads for Grand Finale.
Yeah, maybe. So, admittedly, Augur does have a lot of creatures here, though at Herzi at 19, it makes it seem like any attacks are kind of not real. Especially with if Herzi attacks with the 6/6 and the 5/5.
Yeah.
That will force trumps from Augur, and then still have 2 blockers to deal with Augur's board.
Well, Herzi's swinging everything at Augur, and Augur just concedes. They're not going to bother trump blocking and trying to come back from that.
Yeah, I mean, obviously with the bounty, it's probably just regardless. Maybe if Herzi has exactly nothing, then a block on the 6x, taking 9, going down to 1, might end up getting you there. Maybe with some crazy sequence of draws, including like Strong Arm and Consult and
Yeah.
Lands. Because Master Tranquility is a lot of damage, Strong Arm is a lot of damage, and you do have 2 burn spells off of the journey. So maybe there's something there. I'm not going to go back and count it though. And it obviously doesn't matter since you have the 4th bounty in hand. So I'll take a bit of time in between games. I don't know if they changed the sidling plan, play to draw.
Okay, so let's see. I mean, that's probably a mulligan from Herzi. No, they're going to keep
it. They are on the draw, and I mean, this is definitely a hand that's going to keep them alive for a decent amount of time.
Yeah, and Augur also has a lander with 2 Crossing the Fogs and some creatures, so yeah, that's a very good draw for them.
Yeah, and importantly here, the People of Lightning having haste means that even with Herzi playing a turn 1 out-of-body experience, Augur will be able to get a journey trigger off of the Crossing the Fog. And really, this just seems like a immediately rough spot for Herzi, where out-of-body experience is really not what you want.
I mean, it blanks an attack.
Yeah, but it blanks an attack for 1 turn, but it's not like Herzi can really play for time here. Cane Dancer with no target, this out-of-body experience will need to blank, the other one will need to blank another attack. And with the second Crossing the Fog in hand, not being able to prevent it from preventing the trigger really seems dangerous. So Augur decides to not play the People of Lightning for some reason.
They want to play Night Academic instead?
I guess so. I feel like just getting the journey triggers are important because you have the second Crossing the Fog in hand.
Yeah. Now that I think about it, Augur has like valued Night Academic way more than we valued it in all of their games this GP, I feel like. Where they were always trying to get the scribes before drawing.
Yeah, seems a bit... I don't know how I feel about that. Because I feel like one of the advantages to Prowess is that a lot of your cards just kind of do the same thing. Where you have like 3 cards in your deck, lands, spells, and creatures. And all the lands and all the spells are the same, and all the creatures are the same, and all the lands are the same.
Yeah. And anyways, Herzi has drawn into Thunderworld, so we might actually see an unaugmented Thunderworlds from Herzi just to stay alive.
Well, one of the good things about out-of-body experience is that it does remove the Prowess.
Right.
Which is worth something. Admittedly, People of Lightning last turn, not playing it, you will get the journey trigger on the following turn.
Yeah, and you have way more cards to choose from.
Yeah, so maybe playing people afterwards makes more sense.
So Herzi can outbody the Night Academic pre-combat, before attacks, so that Augur doesn't get the scry that they value so much.
Yeah, also just preventing the journey trigger.
That too, but yeah.
So here, Augur, looking at the ever so valuable journey exile zone, People of Lightning and Crossing Fog seem like good choices here.
Yeah.
But Augur doesn't actually have that many Prowess creatures. So if Herzi draws they do have 2 Sheldrain Rages on board.
Okay, so
with a Sheldrain's Rage draw from Herzi, that will actually really cleanly deal with what Augur has.
Augur's not gonna pick up the Crossing the Fog. But I guess they figured that they already have so many cards in Journey, they don't really need to Crossing the Fog right now.
Yeah, maybe fair. No, I'm not sure if this Fire Burst is really doing more than it here. Because if Herzi does top deck a Sheldrain's Rage here, that will really easily clean up Augur's board and completely shift the game state.
A Cursory Glance. They probably wanted that way earlier.
Yeah, that does stop the People of Lightning, which does prevent a lot of damage from Augur's side of the table.
Well, I think this turn they're probably committed to just Thunder Rolling this turn, and then next turn they can Cursory Glance, Cane Dance to the Cursory Glance, so that they can play to the curve.
Yeah, that's a good point. Getting mana efficiency.
So I guess we're probably going to see a Thunder Rolls on the Pupil.
Top deck the 4th Crossing the Fog.
Never punished.
Yeah, definitely a great draw from Augur.
To make up for Herzi drawing all of the bounties last game.
But do you Cursory Glance this?
No, you're Thunder Rolling this turn. I think you're kind of just committed to Thunder Rolling this turn.
But at the same time, can you win if you go Thunder Roads and then Cursory Glance, Cane Dance, or Cursory Glance?
Yes, because your opponent's not going to play out any more creep.
But Herzi's just out of cards.
Then you hope to top deck into stuff, I guess?
Like, Herzi's deck top decks, really doesn't top deck that well. Especially with these elemental tokens, where, the Bounty of the Garden that's normally a pretty darn good top deck, suddenly doesn't do anything because these 2 elemental tokens are just going to be hitting for 2 over and over again.
Yeah, is Herzi taking?
Or baiting out a Fire Burst. Interesting.
Oh, and Herzi gets a draw from that, but they draw land instead.
Yeah, so that draw is definitely pretty valuable for Herzi. Unfortunately, drew a land there, but
I feel like in all of Herzi's games, either they draw super well or they draw all lands.
so why did Augur not play the pupil pre-combat is a question I have.
They were trying to play around counter spells. They want to bait out Herzi's counters that they can land their creature.
But I feel like you just have enough of board state that a 2-mana counterspell isn't really going to be cutting it. And you really do kind of want to get these cards off of the journey as soon as possible, because Augur doesn't know that Herzi doesn't have one, but Sheldrain's Rage does kind of present a clock on these journey cards. Though at the same, maybe Augur's just saving people lightning for after Sheldrain's Rage.
Honestly, I feel like Augur probably isn't thinking that far ahead. They're just thinking, don't play people before combat to bait out Herzi's counter spells.
Maybe. So Herzi decides to Coastal Glance the Fire Burst there.
That's a problem because now they're playing off curve again. They won't have time to play Thunder Roads this game if they do that.
Yeah, so they're definitely looking for a good draw off the top here.
I guess they're looking to augment Thunder Roads, and that's how they're planning to get back to the game.
Yeah, that might be their only chance here. Well, again, taking your line of just going Thunder Road into Cane Dancer, Coastal Glance does leave you without any cards in hand, or without any spells, and without anything in graveyard either. And Herzi's deck definitely doesn't have any big card advantage spells they can draw at the top with their big spell of Thunder Road not being a good top deck. Well, at least not an exceptional one.
So it seems like Augur might just Fire Burst end of turn here and give Herzi another draw.
Possibly. I don't really like that.
Breach Lilies, so they can breach an alibi experience to delay their death a bit more.
Yeah, but Augur just has so much card advantage here. The Sachan plus Fire Burst knocks out most of Herzi's life total.
Herzi can counter both of them, right? Because they can
but
breach.
They still need to deal with the creatures, and even though they can go Cane Dancer Breach, like they will be hit by Feygrove. And if they do want to augment this Thunder Roads, they do need to take 2 damage to do it with these 2 pain lands.
Yeah, huh. Well, the thing is, if Herzi makes it to next turn, they will be able to augment the Thunder Roads, or at least in a position to augment the Thunder Roads. Then I think they're probably completely back to the game because they wipe Augur's board and then gain up 9 life.
Yeah, that's true. Augur playing people here does run into the Cane Dancer, kind of unlike last turn.
Is Augur thinking about Fire Bursting the Cane Dancer? Like, that's just not good, right?
I mean, it does prevent a chump on the people, so it probably ends up being whatever. Augur is only a 12, which is kind of low.
Aside from face, I guess.
But it seems rough for Herzi to make use of it.
Herzi just takes.
And if Augur just attacks here, then Herzi seems kind of out of luck.
Herzi gets one more draw off Fire Burst.
Well, the thing is that Augur doesn't even need to cast Fire Burst. If Augur just attacks, Herzi either needs to breach the Lilies for an alibi experience, and no, that doesn't even do anything. So they chump at the people with the Cane Dancer, go down to 3, but then Fire Burst is looming over their head.
Yeah. Actually, maybe Herzi should have just played Nebula on red so that they could save like 1 life off Canyon Creek.
Well, the thing is that, unfortunately, they had Canyon Creek in play before Feygrove.
Ooh, Cosmic can kill top deck.
How good is that here? I guess that kind of saves them, right?
Yeah, and now they get to augment Thunder Roads next turn.
Wait, no, because Feygrove puts them to 4, and then they take 2 from the Flyers. And then go to 2, and then Thunder Roads is no good. Or it's still good, but they can barely cast it by itself, let alone augment it.
They still might be able to use it to survive because, like, yeah, they can just cast Thunder Roads unaugmented, which gives them a bit more time, and maybe they draw out of it.
I mean, fortunately for Herzi, Augur is kind of out of gas, almost.
They still have Crossing the Fog in Journey, so they can Crossing the Fog again.
But Augur will need to redraw a bit here, with Seeker as the only additional threat here. So if Herzi does manage to stabilize somehow here, then maybe there's a chance for like drawing actual Thunder Roads.
Maybe Herzi should have played Nebula on green instead of Feygrove to save a life.
Yeah, that could potentially be the deciding factor here. Because if Herzi did do that, then this Swamp lets them Thunder Roads for only 1 life, and that clears up the board.
So Augur has hit Herzi, and they're deciding what to take off the journey. They're going to take Strong Arm and Crossing the Fog, so yeah. Herzi needs to remove Augur's creatures or else they're going to die.
And I don't know what lets Herzi do that. But yeah, this is coming down to pretty slim margins, since if Herzi did play the Nebula on green, then it would give them 1 additional life here as they tap again for the Thunder Road, which would let them augment it.
Yeah.
It's just absolute thinnest margins. Another thing is that Eldrain's Rage does actually get Herzi out of this.
Oof, another Nebula just to rub the salt in
Well,
and make Herzi regret not playing Nebula earlier.
in that case, the only option you have here is Thunder Roading the Pupil, because that does put you still alive.
We're just going to, yes, Nebula for 1 because they can't really afford to tap Can Creek anymore.
Yeah, because you're forced to play Thunder Road here regardless, so might as well pay for it with the Nebula.
Wayfair Shrine.
So Thunder Road on Pupil will put Herzi to back to 2.
No, Strong Arm on one of the elementals.
Oh, that is true, and that forces out Breach Lilies. So,
but Breach requires payment from Feygrove, so
yeah, still better than paying than taking 3 life and dying.
Can Herzi even afford to? Oh, yeah, right. You can Breach after Augur.
So
Strong Arms.
Yeah. So it looks like Herzi's gonna have 0 spells in hand at the end of this turn.
Some more creatures for Herzi to worry about if they survive the onslaught.
Like, I think Herzi's gonna need a set of running draws. Do they have any draw spells that could augment Thunder Roads immediately? I don't believe they do.
Seacash.
Oh, Seacash, yeah.
Spirit Script? No.
No. So if they have Seacash in this matchup, which we haven't seen so far, because they do have a lot of cards to bring in with Edibar Experience and Cosmic Sinkhole. Oh, wait, no, this puts Herzi dead, since Strong Arm on People of Lightning kills them.
Oof.
Because even with Breach Lilies on Edibar Experience, that will fizzle the Thunder Roads and no life will be gained.
Yeah, so I guess the play there was the Thunder Roads of the Elementals and then L-Body the People of Lightning.
Yeah, what? No, I don't think you can let the Strong Arm through regardless, because if you Thunder Road Elemental, go to 4, Breach, go to 3, killing the Pupil, then that 1 Elemental will still kill you. So I guess Herzi does go to 1 here, that's not the worst case scenario.
I don't see how Herzi...
I mean, it's not the absolute worst case scenario, I guess.
They can't even play out their Nebulas on green anymore, so they literally can't cast green spells now.
Yeah, so Thunder Roads Augmented is no longer really a way out of this. So it looks like they're going to need to draw, like...
Range Rage? Can they... No, they don't have double red either.
Well, a single red is actually good enough here, since everything Augur has is a 1/1 thanks to all these Edibar experiences.
Right.
However, if Augur plays the Night Academic...
Or Massive Tranquilities.
Then that's no longer good enough.
And I think that's what Augur's going to do, because they can just drop their entire hand thanks to Treasure made off Strong Arm. I think they probably just want to drop their entire hand. Like, yeah, they don't need to play around Sheldrain's Rage here, because Herzi literally can't cast Kick Sheldrain's Rage due to Cannon Creek requiring life to use.
Yeah, Master Tranquility would play around it anyways, being a 0-4.
Augur is going down to 7 though, so...
Yeah, I think Augur plays into the potential Thunder Roads being safe due to, as we mentioned, these 2 pain lands getting in Herzi's way.
Ooh, yeah, that really hurts.
Yeah, definitely would have liked that. A couple turns earlier, and with that I think the game is quite over. Decent chance we see a tapping of the Baygrove Ending Creek for red here.
Or the Sudoku.
Yeah. Herzi completing the Sudoku puzzle.
I mean, technically, maybe Herzi can hope that Augur doesn't have a non-creature spell in hand so that Master Tranquilities can't flip.
Unfortunately, the Night Academic is good enough by itself. So... Yeah. So, if Herzi had played the Nebula on green, would that have been good enough?
Well, let's check the replays.
So, Herzi plays the Baygrove around here, on the last turn here. Granted, they didn't actually know they had the Cosmic Sinkhole here.
Yeah, but even before then, like here...
But even just like knowing that they had... that this Baygrove might end up costing life.
Like, do they need triple green or triple blue here?
Yeah, not really.
So, like, they could have just nebulaed for green here, and they could have cast everything that they wanted to anyways.
And there's no reason to save the Nebula because he does have the Swamp.
Yeah, so, like, they have all colors for Thunder Roads.
So, going forward, here they'd be up a life. Oh, sorry, they'd have Nebula in play for the Baygrove. The life would be the same. And then from there...
Yeah, now they'd be up a life.
Yeah, so they'd be up a life with Nebula... Wait, they've only used Baygrove once here, right?
Yeah, but if they had Nebula here, they could have played a Swamp and then played an Augmented Thunder Roads.
Yeah. So they would have had to breach the Cane Dancer, I guess.
I mean, that's not... They can't breach L Body, right? I guess that's not a good breach target yet, but just getting a 1/2 into play isn't the worst thing in the world.
Yeah, so get a 1/2 Thunder Road, clear Augur's board, go up to 11. Is that potentially winning for Herzi? Have 1/2 E11. So they end up in kind of, I guess the journey triggers matter here. So without getting the journey triggers, it seems like Herzi's in a kind of good spot. Because at the end of this turn, I believe, what Augur will have in play is just the secret mysteries, since they won't be able to get the Night Academic or the Master of Tranquility off the journey.
Yeah.
And that will get cleared up by a Sheldrain's Wage if Herzi wants it. So we'll end up with no spells in hand, both players on 5 or 6 lands, and both players on 11 life, which is a very equal board state and does probably just come down to the draws at that point.
Herzi's deck is more late game, so they probably have the advantage there.
Yeah, but if Augur gets a single hit in, then they start to get these features that they were no longer able to get off the journey triggers.
Right.
Which means that a single bad draw from Herzi and a single creature draw from Augur means that the Herzi suddenly falls pretty far behind.
Yeah, and I wouldn't be surprised if Herzi ends up flooding out, because that's usually what always happens to them.
Yeah, and also Augur does have these high headquarters. It's not quite an equal board state, even if there's no spells in hand,
Right.
on board. So I guess actually Herzi would have a Cane Dance on board, presuming that, of course, Herzi wants to Sheldrain's the Secret Mysteries, which is probably a good idea.
Yeah.
So definitely very interesting board state. I don't actually know if other players are advantaged in that board state, with Cane Dancer versus Ice Headquarters and some cards being journeyed as the main points of deviation.
Yeah.
Because Herzi does have, like, the bigger deck, so to speak. But at the same time, there's only so many cards Herzi cares about, particularly if they sided out their card advantage spells with Seacash and Spirit Script.
Right.
So obviously, Bounty is a great draw. So is a Thunder Roads, and we saw Secrets of the Core Lake Course in Game 2. So if Herzi left those in for Game 3 on the draw, so that would also be a very good draw. At the same time, like, Cosmic Single's not doing much. Third and fourth out-of-body experiences aren't doing much. Diffuse kind of got outscaled here.
Yeah.
So there are a lot of whiffs in Herzi's deck. And really, Augur just needs a single creature to connect to start snowballing.
Right.
Though again, Augur would only be at like 10 life or so at this point. So maybe the Cane Dancer kind of cracks away a little bit. Very interesting board state though, and does kind of speak to how important those single life points are.
And like sequencing your land plays correctly.
Yeah, it definitely feels like a very minor error, but 1 life is all it takes sometimes, provided we're actually calculating the life correctly.
Yeah.
But it seems like there's a decent chance that Herzi would be able to augment Thunder Roads there.
So with Augur moving on to the finals, they'll be facing another Thunder Roads deck.
I imagine Cosmic Thunder Princess probably has a better matchup here than Herzi had, having kind of Mabel as a nice card, gain life, chump blocker, as well as Commanding Princess being good into aggro matchups.
We'll see when we actually get to that game. So
we'll see.
Yeah.